Hi there, my name's Iain Smith. I'm a consultant working in the smart working space, and this is a short video to give an indication of some material that we might use during a session for you. I'm going to share my screen now just so that the video shows the slide as well as the face of me. And so here we go. So managing workload part 2. So we're thinking now then about how our biology works. And here's a model that maybe you've not seen before. I think we're all familiar of the circadian rhythm. This is around how our body works in 24-hour cycles. But what I think we're less aware of, many of us, is the ultradian rhythm. So this is where our body works in 90-minute cycles. And after 90 minutes of high performance, we need a break. Now, if you were coming to a normal training session, you would know that probably mid-morning there'll be a tea break, probably lunchtime there will be a break, and probably mid-afternoon. And that's because trainers have known for years, and school teachers have known also, that the ability of the brain to process information and to perform at a high level isn't constant. The slides here show on the left-hand side a computer, could equally be a car motor or a hairdryer, but just a constant ability to work without the need for any rests. But we're not like that. And so the guy who came up with this model, he wrote a book called The Way We're Working Isn't Working. This is probably my favorite title of a business book ever. And he produced this 4-box model. So up the left-hand side, what we might have called at school the y-axis, then that's the quantity of energy. And down on the bottom scale, the x-axis, the quality of energy. And the reason he came up with this model was his premise was, yeah, you can try and manage time, but time is finite. Energy is also finite, but actually, if you work well with it, you can create more and more of it within the individual. So I'm going to just look at this on the left-hand side to start with. So you can see some words down the side, and this is around badly managing. So we would all know, for example, if we try and do a day's work having had a bad night's sleep the night before, that actually we're probably surviving all day in the top left-hand corner. But from time to time, we might experience sessions of burnout. Certainly when we get home, we're pretty tired. And that's where we will find ourselves perhaps adopting behaviors that aren't really great for us. So we were intending to go out on a run, for example, or go swimming. We now can't be bothered. Instead, we find ourselves perhaps reaching for caffeine or chocolate or alcohol, perhaps watching too much TV and vegging out. Because if we do that, and we do that for too long, then we cause bad sleep again that night. And so the next day we're in burnout survival cycle all over again. So he describes that clearly as being a poor way of working. And what leads to that is a lack of planning, is, being in a world, therefore, of lots of firefighting. And the headline, really, the thing you can really control is taking no breaks. Or more to the point, taking some breaks. Now, if you work in 90-minute cycles, and this means forcing yourself to stop working after 90 minutes. So I set an alarm. Easier these days now. I'm working permanently from home. So I can set an alarm after about 85 minutes. And then I wrote a short note to myself often about what I'm doing so that when I come back from a break, I'm straight back into high performance. And what I'm doing here is I'm varying my time between performance for the 90 minutes and then renewal. Now, that renewal could be anything that is an energizing break. So it's not doing your emails, and it's not talking to a parent or a friend or a relative of any kind who might drain your energy. But maybe if you've got a mate that you have a good old natter with and that causes you high energy, that's great. Random things like doing a bit of exercise or dancing around your kitchen to 1980s hits, anything like that is a good thing. And we probably know, if we've tried this out, when you come back to work after that, then actually you're back in the zone, and you find it far easier to perform again. Maybe it's just me, but I think a lot of us have found ourselves historically staring at a screen in an afternoon. And what we're doing there is we're just like low energy, almost unable to perform. If we've left Outlook on, maybe an email pops in and, oh, thank goodness, it's a quick, easy email to reply to, so I can give the impression of doing some work here, but it's just not a wholesome thing. And so as I say, the theory here about motivating yourself and getting work done in a productive way is if you take those 90-minute cycles, you can get yourself to a much better place. The clients that I've worked with for a number of years on this have found this to work incredibly well. It takes a bit of practice. And actually, if you start your day well, if you do your first 90-minute chunk at the beginning of your day before you get sucked into other distractions, then actually you've set your day off really well. And of course, probably you'll have delivered something that was really important or something that you might have procrastinated about. And therefore, actually, that really helps you not worry about that for the rest of the day because you've done it. So what gets in the way of this for people? Well, just very briefly, a whole load of distractions that might get in the way. And so it's important that you work with yourself and but with your team to manage those distractions so that you don't get interrupted in your 90-minute chunks. So letting people know, making sure meetings finish on time, maybe not having those meetings, as I say, first thing in the day, turning Outlook off, and also you and your phone. So what we do know is science tells us that it takes about 10 minutes to get into the zone. And so your first 10 minutes of your first 90-minute chunk will be that investment to get 80 minutes of great work done. And in an open plan environment, the problem with this is that the average person gets interrupted every 12 minutes. So you get 2 minutes productive work done before someone comes up, and whether it's a valid interruption or just to talk about, I don't know, what was on television last night, nevertheless, it can divert you and it really reduces your productivity and to some extent, therefore, your well-being. The worst, though, is actually the research tells us that in the United States of America, the average person doesn't even get into the zone because they check their phone, they interrupt themselves every 3 minutes. So there's something that we could work with. If you do multitasking, which is kind of what all those interruptions drive us to, there's a whole load of bad things that emanate from that. My favorite or my least favorite is the penultimate one. It can drop your IQ by 10 points. Now, I don't know about you. I'm not sure I can afford those 10 points. And so, yeah, and the impact of all these interruptions, well, it can take, as I say, 10 minutes to get into the zone. If you get distracted, it says there 11, 12 minutes, it's in that region. And wow, it can take a long time to get back. And an average loss of 2.1 hours a day can result from that. That's just not a great place. So my thought is we should work in harmony with our biology and understand that actually it's our best friend, and that's a way to get more work done.